Welcome back to Grit and Grace with Jennifer and Meredith. I am your girl, Meredith.
I'm Jennifer. Hey.
She's getting it all. Well, actually, she's getting it adjusted because she looks on social media. She's our social media guru while we're live on the show. So if there's ever a delay or anything, it's because she's looking at her phone, making sure she's staying on top of any of the comments or engagement that our clients, our listeners, I'm sorry, I just switched hats for a moment. But yeah, so we are here every Saturday morning from 8 to 9 bringing you great stuff, including some great businesses in the area as well as leaders. And today it's going to be just right up there because I know we're bringing it. We've got Mark with Copperhead Brewery joining us. Good morning, Mark.
Well, good morning, ladies. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. So yeah, I know that Jen was saying she introduced me actually to Copperhead Brewery. So how did you come across them, Jen?
Google.
Fancy. Well, and yeah, so I know you're right here, correct, Mark? Right in the Conroe area.
Right on Fraser Street.
Yes.
Pretty
Okay, so really how it came about is there are other breweries in the area.
Yeah.
They get a lot of love. I'm like, there's got to be somebody else out there.
Right.
I had never heard of Copperhead Brewery. So I got on Google, I started looking, I found them, and I'm like, hey, let's highlight them.
Fantastic. Yeah, and plus, like many of us out here, if you don't, you got to look locally at stuff going on in the area to know what's going on. And that sounded silly, but in the sense of unless you search, you're just going to go to the same spot, right?
Exactly.
So that's what I love is that Jen's always looking for something new. And so when you came across Copperhead Brewery, I know you reached out to Mark, and then we went there. So Mark, why don't you tell us? I mean, because we got introduced to it in just the past few months, but tell us a little bit more about how this all came to fruition.
Okay. Well, it's how does it start? We've been at it. Tap room's been open almost 2 years.
Yeah.
But it took about another year before that to build the place. So there's a lot of construction. Had to build the pub, all the tanks, the brew system, plumbing, and all that. So like I said, we've been at it right at 2 years producing beer. Beyond that, it is just growing. We just doubled our tank space. So we doubled our production capacity, and it's growing well.
I think it's so great too because I know he's being quite humble. It's going well. It's going fantastic. I mean, we love when we were out there. They were just for the initial just to get to kind of meet and greet where we get to meet some of our potential guests and kind of get a better idea about their organization or business. And we go in and they're having a great time. And I mean, the knowledge we had. On your menu board, everything's done in-house, right? So I kept. There were two that were saying sold out, and I was like, what? And I didn't realize that because, I mean, yes, you produce them here. There is a whole brewing, I call it kind of marinating. I'm sure there's more of a proper term. Fermenting, thank you. See, and that's one thing too, is just the knowledge between him and his team is amazing. So yeah, when you are going through each of the kind of stages, how did that get started? Like you thought of one, or you already had kind of on your list a few that you wanted to lead with?
Well, my son Seth is the brewer, so all the recipes are his. He's been home brewing for 4 or 5 years. And then also worked at St. Arnold's for 3 years, the first craft brewery in Houston. And then one day we decided to just do it ourselves. So he got really good at brewing and has a good knack for it. He really does. So
it's got to be like the best of kind of a science and an art factor.
Oh, it is. There's a lot going on. It's not only how to ferment, temperatures to ferment at, hops to use. There's a lot to make a good balanced beer. And like I said, Seth has a real knack for it. He does. So I let him go. He's the mad scientist in the back.
What a great team. So that being said, like I know how many varieties do you offer?
On tap at any given time, I have 7 taps. There's 7 things on tap right now. But we make probably 15 different styles right now.
Wow.
We just started a new one. We have a Pilsner coming out, and then we have Athena, a Belgian Golden that'll be ready next week. So we're still playing. We're still coming up with new styles all the time.
That is so cool. And what I love about that is I mean, from your end, I can imagine like you just come up with a great idea, and man, y'all make it happen. It's not something where you have to, you know, think, more or less a lot of red tape. You think it's going to happen, kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. It's just we try it. If it works, we go with it. It's been doing okay.
And I know, again, he's being so humble, listeners. So I know, Jen, when you went there, you were trying a little bit of everything. So you like the dark ones, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why do I
No.
keep thinking you're...
I don't know.
Okay, my bad.
I prefer a lighter.
Right.
The light white.
Stop by next week. We'll have a Pilsner.
I certainly will.
Okay.
Certainly will.
Actually, you are. I was telling Mark he's on my hit list because next Saturday night we're doing a little ladies' night. You're coming, and Mark, you can come too. I'm sorry, listeners. I was looking at Jennifer, just so they know. I'm like, you can join us. But I told Mark straight up, I'm like, we're gonna have to stop in because during the week we're totally slammed schedule wise, so we only can do small visits, but we get more time on Saturdays, and Sundays to kind of chill. And so I know you're on our list for next week, and I just like a lot of our like me coming in. I mean, what do you tell newbies that are coming in that maybe are just used to getting it from the grocery store, don't have any idea what to do? They've just used to getting whatever light or...
Yeah, and there's a lot of light drinkers out there, and that's all they have ever known or done. And there's great beers around. I mean, we make good beers. There's lots of good beers around.
Sure.
Texas craft brewery scene has exploded in the last few years. Has really there's new breweries popping up in Houston like every other month.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are small like us, and they're getting their feet on the ground, but they produce some really great beers.
Yeah, well, and I definitely, what I love is you may have a small footprint, but your distribution, is vast beyond what I would think, normally for a small footprint. You do it all in-house, all in kind of an inclusive package where I'm sure that helps with making sure the quality's there. You know what's going out. You hand stamp, approve and make sure nothing's, getting out of hand or, anything's tweaked between, the channels.
It's consistency. The brewing process has to be consistent, so the same product's going out the door all the time.
Well, and I'm just going back to like the whole brewing process. Fill us in, because like usually, again, I'm an amateur, so even like you have to let it ferment for how many days, and does that vary?
Oh yeah, sure. It depends on the style of the beer, how much sugars are in the beer, it's how long it takes to ferment. Beer is basically four things. It's malted barley, water, hops, and yeast. So you grind your grains, and malted barley is kind of like coffee. As it's roasted, it goes from a very light grain to chocolate malts. And it's just from the roasting process like coffee. A dark roast coffee is much bolder and stronger. The grain's the same way. So the blending of those grains, you get your different flavors, different colors. And then depending on which yeast you use to ferment, the yeast definitely has a lot to do with the flavor.
Oh, okay.
There's lager yeast, which make very light beers, and there's ale yeast, which make heavier, stronger beers.
That is so cool. Well, and I was thinking, I wanted to know more. I'm sorry. I was like, I thought Jen wanted to say something. I didn't want to interrupt her. But I'm coming from the aspect of, like, we go in, again, I know you probably don't give tours to everybody, but it's a very home feel, like, friendly place there. So if anyone were to peek in, they'd see these tanks.
The breweries, we're there always, 7 days a week usually. But no, we're the brewery's open. Anybody who's interested and wants to see the brewery, we're happy to show it. I mean,
Oh, and that's where I was blown away. Well, of course, first of all, I loved tasting the samples. You made us some samples and we're kind of explaining them, which a lot of it went over my head. I'm not going to lie. I just conceived like one's dark, one's light, one's darker. But then you take us outside and you show us the brewery, and that's where I was like, bam, everything right here. Look over. It reminded me, of, that Lucy Ball.
Yes,
that
Lucille.
scene.
I love Lucy.
Yeah, that whole scene where they've got the bottle, blah, blah, blah. But you have like a compact thing that you're able to just churn and burn these things.
You have your own bottling line.
Yeah, we're getting pretty full. Yeah, we were different than most small breweries in that way. We went to, we have a camp bottling line from day one. Most small breweries don't do that, don't go to stores. They go to bars, keg it, usually for years before they can ever get in that. We were lucky enough to have a bottling line from day one. So we went straight to stores. We went straight to H-E-B, straight to Specs, Whole Foods. Now we're in Total Wine. So our footprint got bigger maybe quicker than some
Yeah.
because we went straight to retail.
Well, and that's fantastic, and I love that. Just speaks volumes of not only, of course, the taste and how great the offering is, all the beer, but also the quality. I mean, to be able to go and be distributed at those brand name,
Yeah.
retail stores, you've got to have a good game. They're not going to let just any kind of mom and pop come in. So that just speaks volumes of your quality too. I love that.
HEB's been real good to us. They like our beers, and in less than a year we have a cold shelf space for 2 of our beers, our Striker, our IPA, and then Medusa, our Belgian quad, which nobody really makes around here. So that's kind of unique for this for Texas, really.
I love it, and even the names. You said Medusa.
Everything's kind of snake related.
Sure.
So yeah, a lot of our branding and labeling and everything has snake themes without a doubt.
Nice. Well, and so yes, please, if you don't mind, because I know we kind of wrapped through that really quick. Where else, in addition to coming to the brewery itself, where else can the listeners find Copperhead Brewery beers?
Well, if you're just out and about, like I said, the Specs and HEB definitely. Right here in Conroe, Red Brick has us on quite regularly. The Red Brick has got a good assortment of beers, and they rotate them. But we run we're in the rotation a lot.
Fantastic.
Corner Pub, a few doors down. We're there quite a bit. Pizza Shack in Willis and Montgomery has our beers.
That's fantastic.
Buffalo Wild Wings. So you can find us out there.
I was about to say the list goes on and on. I
awesome.
thought he was
Yeah.
just done, and he's like, well, and then also here and here, and that's just awesome. Well, and for those that maybe want, figure out how to get that palette, they need to explore, right? So
Sure.
if you're used to whatever at the shop, getting the lights or whatever, how do you kind of address people? Is there a way to say, like, do you like salty, sweet, to kind of determine where to navigate them to the best taste for there?
Well, the best thing, that's why we love we have a pub. You can come and sit down. If we're not super busy, we love to sit down with people who've never been there and pour samples.
Right.
And just talk about the beer, because I a lot of people drink Bud Light, and then it's like, well, that's what I drink. It's like, there's a lot of other flavors out there. So people come in and we pour them samples. If we have the time, we'll sit down and talk about it, explain what it is. Just have a good time with it.
See, and I think that's so great because, I mean, of course, we felt like we got VIP treatment, but it's good to know that you do that for, when time allows and it's not super, congested party time in there, that you would do it for any newbie coming in to kind of get them involved, and also just kind of the history, because that's what I love too, is y'all aren't just more or less doing it for the money. I mean, you love this and you love like the science and art of it, and just being able to get other people hyped and involved, and really, it's more than just, have a beer and enjoy some alcohol. You build a palate, and it could be a whole experience, right?
Sure. That's why they call it craft beer. It is a craft. It is. I mean, you can throw a lot of things in a pot, but I don't know if you'd want to drink it. But it's
Right.
to make it a balanced beer, a good tasting beer, one that has all the what it should have. It's drinkable. Drinkability is a big thing, and there's some beers out there that are hard to drink. So we try to make everything balanced is the word for it. Your hops balance the sweetness of the beer. Our big board on the back behind the bar shows all the styles of beers, but it also has a lot of information on that. Homebrewers like that. We show our starting gravities, our finishing gravities, how many IBUs or how hoppy the beer is. So we have a lot of information up there. If people are into beer or into home brewing, my son loves it. If home brewers come in all the time. If you want to talk about beer, he'll sit down and talk about beer. That he does have a passion for it.
That is so cool. And I know when you came in this morning, I was like, hey, because I know I've learned over time getting to meet a lot of the great leaders in our community that being an owner of a business is wonderful, but there is a lot of, involvement. And certainly it looks a lot more glamorous on the front end than it, so when he walked in, I was like, hey, Mark, so how much sleep did you get last night? Because I'm thinking we are an early morning show and really love that you have, come to join us to talk about it. And especially because at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning in Texas, you can buy beer, so we can let the listeners know to go straight now. But I mean, that being said, so you and your son, I know it's a strong team there, just trying to make it every day, make it happen. A lot of hustle, and we love that about the team. So are y'all open every day for customers, or do y'all have a day off? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, do you sleep?
Yeah, the tap room's not open on Sundays and Mondays.
Okay.
That doesn't mean we're not there. But the tap room is open to the public Tuesday through Friday from 4 to 7, And then Saturday today, we're open from noon to 8.
Do you do private parties?
Yeah, sure, no doubt.
Awesome, awesome. Good to know. I'm putting that in my file system. And yeah, what are the hours, just so our listeners can know, like today? What time do you open today?
We're open at noon.
Open at noon?
He just gave
Yeah.
you the hours.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
Oh,
thinking of
I can give them again. But noon.
watching.
Tuesday through Friday from 4 to 7, and Saturdays from noon to 8.
Thank you,
You
Jen.
were listening, all right.
I was listening.
But, and that's kind of the like 8 o'clock tonight is kind of a suggestion more than a rule.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people there having a good time. We're there later many times.
I like how he's like, I'm going to tread the line there. I'm not saying.
Hey, if you got a room full of happy people, what do? Kick them all
Hey, I
out,
mean, and
you
they're giving you their money. So
Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, we have a good. Actually, we had a birthday party till there last night for some of our friends and locals, and so the place was full till way late.
yes.
It was a good time. So, we like having a good time.
Well, and we like that you came here. We certainly love being there. I know, like I said, you're going to catch me there next Saturday night. Listeners, if you want to join us to help kick off our ladies' night, which gentlemen are included if they'd like to join us, at the tap bar, just to enjoy some of the Bevos, you go in and maybe we can all share a Bevo. So you want to get out there. But if you have time today, get out. 12 o'clock they open. In between, go to the HEB, go to Specs. And there's countless other places. The bars here locally and some pizza joints in Willis. That's awesome. So I know that, again, Copperhead Brewery online. You've also got a Facebook page, right? Yep. So listeners, want to encourage you to reach out, connect with them, find out more, and see where you can peek in and just fall in love with this place and just how cool it is. It's not just a bar. It's like the meat and potatoes of beer. It's just awesome there.
We do lots of one-off beers or beers that we do once a year.
Yeah.
So if you follow us on Facebook, that's where all that information comes out. Because people go, I missed it. Well, we're on Facebook.
Oh, so you got to like and follow, right?
If you like and follow us, a lot of information on what we're doing, what's coming up, what beers are in the tanks, special beers. We're just starting our barrel-aged beer. So our stout's going into Jack Daniel's barrels for about 6 months. So that'll be a release of special
I'm
beer.
sorry, say that again?
Our stout, our Black Venom is our big stout. It's a big imperial stout. It's a 10% stout, and it's going into Jack Daniel's barrels.
What?
Yeah.
Now, what does that do?
That picks up bourbon flavors and picks up the flavors out of the oak, the wood.
Mm-hmm.
White oak, when they char the barrels, the sugars in the wood actually caramelize, so you get caramel flavors, you get vanilla flavors, and then you have the bourbon, and then they all blend and makes a very wonderful.
Oh my goodness! You said it 12, right? Okay, it's almost 9. All right, just thinking. Wait, when is that available? Because
he said they go in a barrel for 6 months.
6 months or longer. It just depends on how long it takes to get it right or how long it takes to age.
Okay.
That'll be something coming up later, but we do those on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, no.
So, like I said, that's where the Facebook. If you like us on Facebook, follow us on that. You'll know what's coming up and what we're doing.
I've got to get me some of that. Well, and in between, of course, you've got a lot more flavors that I've been enjoying, too. I like the white that we enjoyed on Wednesday. So, well, thank you so much for coming in. I know we had just, a little bit of time to peel in at the great business and want to encourage our listeners again, please go to Copperhead Brewery. This place is amazing. Plus, supporting a local business, that's what we're here for. People in our area, that's what we do. We're here to help others. So you want to get out there and explore it, and then you'll fall in love. And I'm pretty sure you'll be going to the store for them too on the Sunday and Mondays when they're not open. That being said, I would love, because when I thought of you and got a chance to, of course, get to visit with you, I wanted to play a game and see if you'll stick around for our game. You
Sure.
down?
Yeah.
Mark has no idea, but he's totally easy. He's going to stay with us. I hope you will too, listeners. We've got more of Grit and Grace with Jennifer and Merideth coming up. In fact, we're going to be doing a closeout to the week with a game that these two have no idea about. So stay tuned. We've got more coming up next.
The Texas.
Thanks so much for tuning in this week, guys. Be sure to check us out every Saturday live, 8 to 9 on Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1. Also on irlonestar.com. But more importantly, subscribe. Let us know what you want to hear. Leave us your comments, right?
Yeah.
We want to hear from you, all right? Check us out online, too. Where can they find us online? Damn it, woman, that's what you're supposed to say, the social media. Grit and Grace Texas at gmail.com. Online, all our social media platforms are at Grit and Grace Texas. Be sure to connect with us, guys.